Well, we'll get started now with the book of Samuel. I took some notes because we seem to be just trudging along. And Samuel book 1 and 2, as I had mentioned before, is a combination of the two books are actually one book. So it gets a little tricky. I think we finished up chapter 9. We were ready to go into chapter 10. And chapter 10, I'm just going to do an overview, is where Samuel anoints Saul. This is when God changes Saul's heart and he begins to prophesy. Remember we talked about Saul was a gangly, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. You know, he lost his father's donkey, so, I don't know what about his character God saw, but again, he looks on the heart.
Yeah.
So apparently Saul's heart was right. God strengthened him and came into him, and he allowed him to prophesy. And then in 10 and verse 19, he confirmed to the people his choice of Saul. He let the people know, I, your God, have chosen this fellow, and this is who you asked me for.
Yes.
In 10 and verse 27, the children of Belial rejected Saul. They didn't want him. And they despised him. But the Bible says he held his peace. That's only God can give you that kind of peace.
Yeah.
And then we go in chapter 11, we look and see that Saul defeats King Nahash of Ammon. Remember we talked about the Ammonites.
Yeah.
Saul goes in and defeats these fellas, and he does it with the Spirit of the Lord. And they said, the people had told Saul, if in fact you are to be over us and you are our king, after you do this, take care of this menace in our neighborhood, we'll come out and we'll be under you. We won't give you any hard time. And so Saul took a yoke of oxen, so it's more than one, I'm sure, and he cut them into pieces and he sent them out throughout all the land. And nobody came out against him. So therefore, the Lord fell on these people, changed their hearts, and they came out with one accord, one consent. And when they were numbered in Bezek, the children of Israel were 300,000.
Wow. Yeah.
And the men of Judah, 30,000. So this is not peanuts.
No.
These are a lot of people.
That was a lot of animals.
Yes.
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 That he killed.
Now he killed them and sent them out to the leaders of the different
okay.
yes, to the different coasts by hands of messengers. So they were in pieces to go to the different coastlines because they were not, one man was not in charge. One man was in charge of a group. So that's how he sent it out, and that was his message to them. So then he's confirmed in the kingdom in chapter 11. And in chapter 12, Samuel, who was the prophet, who had told him that he was going to be king, Samuel has to inform the people about his integrity. I've never stolen anything, I've never taken anything, and the people agreed with him that he was an upright man. I don't know what went on that caused Samuel to feel like he had to justify himself to the people, but he did. Yeah. And then he told them again about their ingratitude, how they rejected God as their king and wanted a king appointed over them. Yeah. Now, I think I told you all, anytime God says something more than once, pay attention. 3 times in even this book, the first book, Samuel gets on these people 3 times. Now he does it here in 12 and 12, verse 12, chapter 12, verse 12. And that says, and when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. Now he's telling them again. And then in 16, in the same chapter, he comes back at them. Now therefore stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. And is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto the Lord, and he shall send thunder and rain, that ye may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which ye have done in the sight of the Lord in asking you a king. Told them again.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't get it, but I guess at this time they couldn't change their minds.
So he's going to make it rain?
Thunder and rain is a sign that the Lord is angry with you. And this is what he's sending, thunder and rain, that ye may perceive, that ye may know and see that your wickedness is great. And then in chapter 12, verse 24, he says, only fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he hath done for you. But if ye shall do wickedly, ye shall be consumed, both ye and your king. So they wanted Saul.
You're right.
If he's not right and you're not right, you will be consumed.
Yes.
So then we have chapter 13, and Saul sins in not waiting for Samuel to show up for him to give the offering.
Right.
He did it himself. And he knew he should.
Right.
But as soon as he did that offering, and I think maybe God had a hand in it, because as soon as he did that offering, Samuel shows up. And he said, what have you done?
Right.
What wicked thing have you done? And so Saul, not waiting for the prophet, he gets reprimanded.
Right.
And after he reprimands him, in chapter 14, Saul's son, Jonathan,
Right.
defeats the Philistines. Not Saul, who's the king.
Right.
His son defeats the Philistines. And I'm like, I know he must have been thinking in his mind, I'm in serious trouble. God has given the victory to my son. And so.
And that was David's friend, Jonathan. That Jonathan.
That's Jonathan. That's
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
Who ultimately David becomes king.
Yeah.
Now, in 14 and 17, said Saul unto the people that were with him, number now and see who is gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. And Saul said unto Ahiah, bring hither the ark of God. For the ark of God was at that time with the children of Israel. And it came to pass while Saul talked unto the priest, that the noise that was in the host of the Philistines went on and increased. And Saul said unto the priest, withdraw thy hand. And Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves, and they came to the battle. And behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great discomfiture. Moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them into the camp from the country round about, even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were there with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, all the men of Israel, which had hid themselves in Mount Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, even they also followed hard after them in the battle. So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over them unto Beth-aven. So these people are having a hard time.
Yeah. So there were Israelites that had left the group and they joined the Philistines?
Yes.
Wow.
And they
We're
ultimately
fighting
had to
against.
come, right.
Wow.
They figured it out and had to come back
Yeah.
because the hand of God wasn't with them over there.
Right.
And they had hid, a lot of the men of Israel had hid themselves in the mountain.
Yeah.
They weren't fighting. So the Lord saved Israel that day.
And God told them to put their swords down,
Yes.
not to fight the Philistines?
And Saul said unto the priest, withdraw thy hand. And Saul and all the people that were with him came to the battle, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow. And they also turned to be with the Israelites that were with Saul and Jonathan. So yes. Now, it's not telling me about the sword. Put the sword against their fellow man.
Oh, I thought I heard you say that God said to put the swords down.
That was Saul.
Okay, Saul
said to the people, withdraw your hand. However, Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves, and they came to the battle, and behold, every man. Why don't we see which one do you have?
I'm on the computer, so what chapter are you on?
I'm in chapter 14,
All right.
verse 20.
All right. You want me to read it to you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Saul and all his men rallied and rushed into the fight, where the Philistines, wholly confused, were thrusting swords at one another.
Mm-hmm.
The Hebrews, who had previously sided with the Philistines and had gone up with them to their camp, turned to join the Israelites under Saul and Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
All right. Likewise, all the Israelites who were hiding in the hill country of Ephraim, hearing that the Philistines were fleeing, kept after them in the battle. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day.
So they came out of the hills because they could see that the Lord's hand was with them and they were going to win.
Yeah.
So here we have Saul's command had hindered the victory, and so God allowed Jonathan to be able to be victorious.
Yeah.
So before we get into chapter 15, because that's where we're going to go today, I want to make sure that we understand the relationship between Saul and his son, which is Jonathan. So then said Jonathan, this is in verse 29, 14:29. Then said Jonathan, my father hath troubled the land. See, I pray you, how mine eyes have been enlightened, because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more, if happily the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found? For had there not been now a much greater slaughter among the Philistines? And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil, and took sheep and oxen and calves, and slew them on the ground, and the people did eat them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, behold, the people sin against the Lord, in that they eat with the blood. And he said, ye have transgressed. roll a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord in eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and slew them there. And Saul built an altar unto the Lord. The same was the first altar that he built unto the Lord. And Saul said, let us go down after the Philistines by night, and spoil them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, do whatever seemeth good unto thee. Then said the priest, let us draw near hither unto God. And Saul asked counsel of God, shall I go down after the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he answered him not that day. And Saul said, draw ye near hither, all the chief of the people, and know and see wherein the sin hath been this day. 39. For as the Lord liveth, which saveth Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man amongst all the people that answered him. Then said he unto all Israel, be ye on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, do what seemeth good unto thee. Therefore Saul said unto the Lord God of Israel, give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, cast lots between me and Jonathan my son. And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in mine hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered, God, do so and more also, for thou shalt surely die. Come in. Oh, you gotta hit the door.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, he comes.